The following podcast contains alcohol-enhanced conversations about alcohol, as well as the potential for the discussion about topics of dubious, disturbing, possibly offensive, but usually hilarious interest. The opinions stated herein are solely of the persons making them, and any endorsement of these opinions by any other party is not implied. Foul language is likely, but intolerant viewpoints are not. Listener intoxication is advised. Hello and welcome to episode 57 of the Neat Glass sponsored Whiskey Tangent podcast. I'm Scott.
I'm Ed.
And today we're highlighting a surprisingly neglected and frankly all but ignored category in the world of American spirits, wheat whiskeys.
Yep.
Not to be confused with wheated whiskeys, that is, bourbons and ryes containing a significant amount of wheat. Instead, wheat whiskeys are ones that contain a majority of wheat in their mash bills. And despite being an official category of American whiskey since 1935, there are only 2 continuously produced wheat whiskey expressions from major distilleries on the market today. Why? Well, that's exactly the question we'll be trying to answer on this here very podcast. And joining us on this somewhat frustrating foray into figuring out why wheat whiskeys are so sporadic and erratic, nobody.
That's right. Just Scott and I.
Yeah, we're doing it alone on a numbered episode for the first time since episode 37 over 1 year ago. But some things never change because Ed's here to start us off by telling us which 3 rare craft expressions plus 1 major expression of the forgotten weedy whiskey category that we'll be sipping and no longer skipping tonight.
We got 4 wheat whiskeys. Now, this is really confusing because I'm so used to doing wheated bourbons or even wheated ryes. Scott's right in the fact that there is not a lot of wheat whiskeys. And what makes a wheat whiskey in its basic form? 51%?
Wheat.
When I point at you, that's when you say stuff. 51%?
Wheat.
All right, faster, though.
Okay, go ahead. Do it again.
51%.
Wheat.
Correct. And so we have 4 of them. First of all, we're going to start off with the only major distributed brand in the building tonight, which is a Woodford Reserve wheat whiskey, 90.4 proof, no known age statement, but it's got to be at least 2 years, right? Probably 4.
Probably.
From the New Liberty Distillery in Philadelphia, their Kinsey wheat whiskey, which is 110 proof, 4 years. But we found out ours is actually 5 years, but we'll get to that.
And 113.
Right, and actually 113. There's a whole lot of conspiracy going on right now.
It's crazy.
Journeyman's Corset Whips and Whiskey, a 114.1 proof, 5-year expression. And then the 77 Malted wheat whiskey, 137 proof. Wow. Way to end the night there. And it's 8 years. So it should be really special.
Yeah.
And it costs like it was special. We'll tell you about that too.
Yeah, definitely. I am really excited to drink that one. Of course, we're going in proof order, as we often do on the podcast.
Yeah.
But first.
So I got a little thing from Lou Bryson's book, his masterclass in whiskey.
Okay, go ahead.
He had 1 page on wheat whiskey, which is exactly telling. In a giant book, he had 1 page.
Okay. This is good, actually, because I reached out to him on Instagram and he never got back to me.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. He's a very busy person. He still likes us.
Oh, no. Scott is crying. Crickets.
He says, wheat whiskeys bring a soft palate. They are a great introduction to the barrel forward flavors of American whiskeys. I'm not sure what he means by that. We'll have to talk about that. He says you find a variety of opinions on what wheat adds or doesn't add to a whiskey, even among master distillers. And he mentions that the Bernheim brand, which is a 7-year-old wheat whiskey, bright, fresh nose of cinnamon, sassafras, root with oak framing. We drank this last night, and I don't taste any of this, just for the record. I don't taste cinnamon or sassafras or whatever. We'll talk about our experience. We drank Bernheim last night while we were out intentionally because it was there and we knew we were doing this.
Right.
So the bottom line is, even his book doesn't have a lot on wheat whiskey except stated which we already told you.
Yeah. So I was pretty frustrated in doing the research for this episode because there's not a whole lot. So I wrote sort of an essay about wheat whiskeys in general and why wheat whiskey is still waiting in the wings. So, as I alluded to in the intro, in 1935, the Federal Alcoholic Beverage Act provided bourbon, rye, malt, and wheat whiskeys with the official legal requirements based on how much corn, rye, barley, and wheat they must contain, respectively, the 51% figure that we've been talking about.
Correct.
Bourbon, of course, took off in the 40s and 50s, waned in the 70s and 80s, and then rose again in the mid to late 2000s. Rye struggled to regain its reputation for almost 80 years after Prohibition, finally experiencing its own resurgence just in the past decade. And malt whiskeys, at least in the form of the American single malt, have been bubbling under the surface for a while, and just now are poised to increase their profile significantly, as we reported in last month's news. But what about poor old wheat whiskey?
We have so much wheat in the country. People in history have made alcohol out of anything you can ferment. You know, I mean, whatever it could be. Just listen to our Halloween episodes for what disgusting things people make whiskey out of. I mean, liquor out of.
Definitely.
And beer out of. So the fact that we have states and states filled with wheat and we don't have barrels and barrels filled with wheat whiskey is actually quite an interesting point, I think.
It's puzzling. So given the soaring, almost ridiculous popularity of wheated bourbons like Maker's Mark, Larceny, Old Fitzgerald, W.O. Weller, and of course Pappy Van Winkle, in which softer, sweeter wheat, like Lou Bryson was saying, replaces bolder, spicier rye, why hasn't any distiller in the past 100 years been able to make a whiskey of majority wheat that takes the country by storm? Well, perhaps it's because nobody's really pushing wheat whiskey hard enough. So bourbon was pushed through the late century doldrums by distillers marketing to foreign countries to keep their brands alive. Rye was pushed into the limelight by bartenders in the New York City cocktail culture and a drinking populace ready for something spicier. And single malts are currently being pushed by a number of mid-sized craft distillers that are putting an American spin on the world's most popular style of whiskey.
Right.
Maybe wheat whiskeys are simply being overshadowed by all the wheated bourbons, which could be generating a bit of consumer confusion about the distinction between the two styles. After all, if wheat is already being used to create some very good, very popular, and very expensive whiskeys, why spend the extra time and resources on a type of whiskey people don't really know anything about or think they're already getting anyway?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the simplest one of all, the taste. When I asked our resident master mixologist, Anders, the question, he said wheat whiskeys can be a little too subtle and that most of their flavor tends to come from the barrels rather than the grains, which is what Lou Bryson was saying.
It's a softer palate, right?
Yeah, whiskey writer and podcaster Fred Minnick said in a YouTube video while tasting one of the expressions we'll be trying tonight, actually, that wheat whiskeys often lack a good mouthfeel and can have strange bubblegum-like flavors, and that he's been waiting a long, long time for someone to make a truly good wheat whiskey. And that could be because almost no major distilleries actually make wheat whiskeys. The two I mentioned in the intro are the Heaven Hills Bernheim wheat, which we talked about, and Brown-Forman's Woodford Reserve wheat, which we have tonight. It's going to be tasting first. All the others, and indeed the rest of the ones we have tonight, are from somewhat niche distilleries with limited capacities.
Two are definitely niche, and one is a growing brand, I would say.
Yeah.
The Journeyman.
It is. However, perhaps it's high time that major distillers took note of the marketing opportunity that a new untapped whiskey segment could be for their brands. And indeed, after releasing their wheat whiskey just 2 years ago, Woodford Reserve master distiller Chris Morris told Bloomberg.com that because so few wheat whiskeys exist on the market, he sees a competitive edge to their expression. So maybe, just maybe, the tide is turning toward a rising wheat whiskey wave in the next few years, because if enough craft distilleries can create some really good buzzworthy wheat whiskeys, and I hope we have 3 here tonight, it might persuade enough larger distilleries to hop on board as well, after which the general drinking public won't be too far behind.
Well, I have to tell you, Scott, I see a tremendous business opportunity for us because the wheat whiskey industry allows alliteration, because a whiskey tangent wheated whiskey would be so nice to see on the shelf.
I like it.
Once again, don't forget the top wheat whiskey in the country, the whiskey tangent wheated whiskey.
Automatically, we zoom right to the
The
top.
alliteration would be everything right there.
Yeah.
All right, so the first one is a Woodford Reserve, a brand that I have a long-standing love affair with from my youth. It's like a gateway to bourbon. It's sweet, corn forward. It's a delicious traditional American bourbon.
Where I point new drinkers to.
Yep, me too. And then when you grow up a little bit, you go to Scott's entry into the world of Knob Creek, which is 100 proof.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digressed like I do. Woodford Reserve Wheat Whiskey is the latest addition to the Woodford Reserve family. This 4-grain whiskey is considered a wheat whiskey because the mash bill contains just over 50% wheat. According to the Woodford master distiller, Chris Morris, after Prohibition, the federal government permitted 4 styles of American straight whiskey, each with a different majority grain: bourbon, rye, wheat, and malt. Woodford Reserve now has all 4 whiskeys as part of its permanent family of brands: Woodford Bourbon, Woodford Rye, Woodford Malt, and now Woodford Wheat.
Yeah, and they're the only distillery to do that, actually. Have all 4.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
And my personal opinion is they should just make more of the regular. It's delicious.
Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, the rye is okay. Everything else is okay.
And the double oaked is fine.
But we're going to find out. Like, it's got all 4 grains in it.
It does. So the mash bill is 52% wheat, 20% corn, 20% malted barley, and 8% rye.
Interesting.
Yeah, isn't it?
The malted barley could add a real interesting wrinkle to this.
It really could. It's a lot of malted barley.
Oh, it is. Let's see what this is.
Yeah, so the proof is 90.4, which is their regular proof that they like to do at least 4 years.
Right.
As we said, and price is around $40.
So I also want to point out that when we did the Jack triple mash, they also had their single malt mixed in.
They're both Brown-Forman, Woodford Reserve and Jack Daniels.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know how closely they're connected in production, but
right.
I'm sure they talk to each other. I'm sure they have meetings.
Oh, this really nice nose. Nice and fruity.
Very floral.
I get peaches right away.
Yep.
I mean, it's not really spicy. It's very soft.
Yeah, it's like a sweet fruit juice smell. That's what I'm getting. You've got peaches, but I just get this general sweet, fruity sweetness.
Yeah, there might be also maybe apples.
Yeah, I don't get any baking spices or anything.
No, I don't get any spice at all. I don't even get any like wood char or anything like that.
The nose is very, very passive. Let's see how it tastes, though. Let's go for the taste.
Okay.
I'm really excited about this.
I'm too, especially given the nose. Oh, that's different.
Oh. Different is the word. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I'm coming down on this right now.
Yeah, because immediately I was going to say I liked it better than the Bernheim that we had a couple nights ago. But
it's the finish again.
Yeah, it's the finish.
So the Bernheim we had, by the way, we both were disappointed in the fact that we thought it finished really weird.
Yeah.
Shockingly, I need more. We thought it finished really weird and that didn't have any complexity to it.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it was a little drying, and this is too. It's very stringent on the finish. It's spicier. Yeah, I get a lot more spice on the palate than I did on the nose.
Yes, I will agree with that. The rye is coming through a little bit now, even though it's only 8%.
Yeah.
And the single malt's probably coming through. I just added some water.
Yeah, it could be the barley, yeah.
I really like the initial flavor, and I like how it arrives on my palate, but then there's an overpowering flavor at the end.
It tastes a little hotter than 90.4.
Yes, thank you for saying that. This 90 proof is burning all the way down my chest right now.
You take a big sip of this, you're going to regret it.
Yeah, and I did. I took a very big sip.
Yeah, that finish is just strange.
It's bitter a
Yeah.
little bit. The water helps.
Let me drop
the water helps a lot. You're going to be surprised. I don't know why.
Okay.
5-6 drops of water changed it so much, but it made it a lot more palatable. And it might like it cold too. This might be one that's better if you drop 1 cube on it.
Yeah. Okay, so on the nose, soft and fruity with baked peach pie, cinnamon, hay, and light oak. Digging deeper produces hints of vanilla, apple juice, and canned pears.
I think we hit all over that.
Yeah,
that's exactly what we smelled.
Yeah, this is a Breuckelen bourbon.
Yeah.
On the palate, flavors of oak, wheat grain, and a hint of vanilla dominate. Compared to the start the nose presents, the palate is weak and astringent and doesn't deliver like you hope it would.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Finish?
The finish is light but lingering with white pepper, oak, and hints of dried apple, peaches, and vanilla.
I mean, dried apple.
He's being very generous, I think, there.
Well, he stung him on the palate. He didn't want to just crush him all the way through the review, right? He said the palate's disappointing, which is kind of the whole drink, right? It's not that bad. I want to be clear. It's not bad. But it is disappointing with some of the other things Woodford's done in their life.
I think we can make some nice cocktails with this. It might be a good addition to our Infinity bottle, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it offers the 4 grains, etc. But it's just an alcohol flavor, just straight alcohol flavor goes like all the way through it. And I think that's part of what's off-putting and drying.
Maybe this is what they say, that the grain isn't strong enough. It's like you didn't put enough 5 Alive in with your 190 Everclear in college, you know? It's like, hey, I'm tasting way too much Everclear here. Let's get another half gallon of High C to pour in here.
Oh my God, did you drink High C and Everclear?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
shit. We actually, I remember using 5 Alive a lot. That was a big thing back in
5 Alive? What's 5 Alive? I don't think I know that.
It was like 5 juices combined in like a concentrate, or you get it in a half gallon container. I just made up the 5 juices part. I assumed, I know it's 5 Alive. I assumed, why would you call it 5 Alive if it didn't have 5 juices? No.
It makes sense.
Right. We'll Google it when we take a break, and I'll come back and correct it if I have to. So I don't want to get sued by whatever remnants of the 5 Alive company are still out there.
Diageo owns
right. Owned by Procter Gamble or something.
Oh shit! What if Sazerac owns it? Vampires will be after you.
Right. They're already on me. They're outside the building. All right. So I'm done with this one.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed.
I'm disappointed.
In this.
So next we go to the Kinsey.
Yeah.
So except for the Woodford, everything that we're drinking tonight for this episode we got from Benash.
Yeah, all the
liquors in Cherry Hill. And the 77 was a direct recommendation from Billy.
And in fact, wasn't this whole episode a recommendation?
Yeah. So once I was checking out, because I happened to just grab them, he said, oh, you might as well do a wheat whiskey episode. You just grab 3 wheat whiskeys. And I knew I had 2. I didn't realize the Corset Whips and Whiskey was a wheat whiskey. I thought it was a wheated bourbon. So I was like, oh, shoot, you're right. And so when I came home, I called Scott and I said, yeah, we're going to do this because I just bought all this whiskey.
I'm like, okay.
I don't feel like buying the other whiskey we were going to do. And because it's our world, we can do whatever we want.
Right, exactly.
And then we decided to do it together because we haven't had an episode together for a while. I mean, we do the news and stuff together, but we try to bring guests on the episode because my friend Danny one time was like, yeah, you guys are good, but you need other people.
Yeah, you guys aren't funny by yourself.
You're not funny enough by yourself. I'm like, I'm pretty funny, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. Fuck you, Danny. Fuck you right in the ass, bitch. I don't know. Danny's probably a nice guy. I don't know. I don't think I've ever met him.
I don't think you have.
Still, we're watching you, bitch.
I don't think you are going to now, so it's good.
Oh, shit.
All right, so this second one that we're going to hit is the Kinsey wheat whiskey.
Yeah, this was something I couldn't find any description on
Right.
the website. This is something, I guess, special.
So I was talking to Billy from Benash, and I'm like, well, it says it's 4 years and 110 proof. He goes, yeah, I think they just used whatever label they had laying around. Like,
Yeah.
he goes, it's actually 5 years and 113, but I guess if it's close enough, it's all right. I'm like, is that how it works, really? Just,
Just slap whatever label on it.
I mean, I feel like they should have been obligated to Sharpie over it. Like a Sharpie of 5 over the 4.
Yeah.
But you think the proof would have to be kind of exact, but I don't know, maybe 113, 110 is close enough that no one gives a damn. I don't know.
No one's going to test it at home, I guess, right?
But so the Kinsey, it's from the New Liberty distillery in Philly.
Yeah.
And it's got to have to get over there. We're waiting for them to invite us over. We keep talking about them, but we actually emailed them this week asking them about this particular expression.
Yeah, I reached out to them on Instagram.
And they're like, yeah, we'll get back to you then.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah. The thing interesting about this one, it's a 95% wheat, 5% malted barley from MGP.
Right. So MGP doesn't do a lot of things wrong. So I'm interested to see what their wheat whiskey tastes like.
Yeah, let me cleanse my palate from the Woodford.
Well, the nose is not nearly as good as the Woodford.
All right. And we don't have any tasting notes for this one, so we're flying blind.
You're going to have to deal with our tasting notes, but we did pretty good the last time.
We did.
It's only taken us 3 years to get a palate.
Okay, it's not quite as fruity on the nose.
It's floral, but it's more herbaceous.
Yeah, it's more grainy too.
Yeah, weedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like beery almost.
Oh, yeah, almost.
Like, this is really, really obscure, but you drank beer last night. The cup's been overnight on the counter.
Yeah.
It's dried a bit, and then you smell it to see, was this used? Oh, that's right, beer was in it.
It's like stale beer almost, which sounds bad.
More like dried beer cup, like,
Right.
because it's very faint, if that helps anybody.
It is very faint. The nose is very faint. I thought the Woodford had a nicer nose than this.
Yeah.
Well, it had 4 grains in it.
Yeah, this does not have a good nose. This is mostly wheat, though, and wheat is the weakest of the grains, though.
Yeah.
So, bready, and
I mean, it is a little fruity. I mean,
I can smell that. Yeah, there's some sweetness, but coming from the Woodford, which was very sweet.
Yeah.
Forward. All right, let's give it a little taste on this.
All right.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. That's completely different.
Yeah.
But yet some elements are the same. Man, wheat whiskey is weird, man. Like, it's so different. Like, I see the issue here.
Yeah.
This is good, though. The finish is way better.
The finish is
I don't
much
know what
longer.
they did. Yeah.
This hit me in 2 hops. Like the initial hit me with some sweetness, and the second hop was a lot of spiciness.
Yeah.
But weird spiciness.
It's even a little less hot than the Woodford, 23 points higher.
Yeah. Like I was saying in my thing where Fred Minnick was talking about bubblegum flavors. I kind of get that.
So my opinion is I smacked this at 113 proof on a globe, and I'm enjoying this. I'm in a completely different place than I was with the Woodford. This is way better.
Yeah, this is head and shoulders better than the Woodford.
Yeah.
Actually, the more I drink it, and now I'm getting used to the flavor, I actually quite like it. It's really good.
I kind of knew it would be. Billy and or Rich tasted this to bring it over.
Yeah. As you guys know, we trust them implicitly.
Yeah.
It tastes like a rye to me almost. Maybe a sweeter rye, like a high corn rye. Maybe something like Redemption.
I was really disappointed with the Woodford, and I was starting to get scared that this is going to be a terrible night. So I really appreciate the Kinsey coming in and really, really doing well.
I mean, there's baking spices on this.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of green. You get a little bit of oak on it, but it's not drying like it was on the on the Woodford.
I got a really distinctive flavor, and I can't place it right now. It's very good.
When I was talking about the bubble gum, I also got a little bit of Swedish fish.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm tasting.
Is it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because it's that other flavor I couldn't put my finger on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's exactly what it was.
This is really great.
Man,
I like it
yes.
a lot.
It's really good. So Kinsey wheat whiskey, I think they're going to grow. So I think this distillery is growing. And so we're kind of like planting seeds you can harvest down the road. But if you're ever in Philadelphia, anywhere in this area, you can find Kinsey. Kinsey is all over. Now the wheat one is going to be harder to find. But hey, Banash has it right now. So once again, if you're within an hour of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, go get some wheat whiskey from Kinsey.
So they also have another wheat whiskey that's 73% wheat and 27% malted barley, aged only 2 years. That's another expression that they have, but that's not this. This is 95.5 from Indiana.
Right. So we're going to take a break, wash some glasses.
Yeah.
Put on some music, shake our asses, and then come back for the last two. The Journeyman's Corsets, Whips and Whiskey.
Excited for that one.
And I'm excited for you to taste the 77 Malted. I had a small taste of that in the store.
Oh, you did.
But you know how that is. It's just like a mouthful. Not able to really explore it or smell it or really enjoy the experience.
But good enough
for me to buy it.
Yeah.
Good enough for me to buy it. And I will say this. I'm pretty sure that we have whiskeys from 4 different states represented here.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that.
I believe, Woodford's from Kentucky, of course. Kinsey's from Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Journeyman is based in Michigan.
Yep.
And then the 77 is in New York.
Yeah.
So we have 4 different states with 4 different wheat whiskeys. None of them are wheat states. I mean,
Right.
every state has wheat, but it's not like the middle of like Kansas or some, it's not like Topeka doing something productive, like making wheat whiskey.
Wow.
I just hadn't gone to Topeka for a
No,
while.
you haven't.
I didn't want them to feel like I forgot about
Well, they
it.
didn't get hit by a tornado recently.
How do you know?
Well, I don't know.
Why? Trust me, they have.
Can we take a break now?
Okay, yes.
Okay, we're back. We have poured the last 2 expressions of the evening, the Journeyman, Corsets, Whips, and
The
Whiskey.
last 2 expressions on air.
Well, right. And the 77 wheat whiskey.
Which is 77 is the brand.
Right.
The distillery is the Breuckelen.
Breuckelen. Right. The old Dutch spelling is how they spell it.
Breuckelen Distilling, which is, of course, they're based in Brooklyn, New York.
Right.
So the Journeyman, Corsets, Whips, and Whiskey. Journeyman Distillery is located in an 1800s corset and buggy whip factory in Three Oak, Michigan. Once a dry town, we feel we've finally added the essential ingredient to a great party. Corsets, Whips, and Whiskey is a single grain, cast strength version of our buggy whip wheat that comes directly from barrel to glass. Named after the products produced here at the historic Featherbone factory throughout time, this whiskey is a true tribute to the American manufacturing industry. This limited release whiskey showcases the high quality and
terroir.
You try to stick a French word on me.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it there.
High quality and
terroir
of the organic Michigan wheat used to produce it. The 100% wheat provides a soft sweetness and smoothness to this whiskey, unlike any other, and reminiscent of an Irish whiskey on the palate. Viscous, chewy, and mouth coating, sweet, rich citrus, vanilla, caramel, warming, added complexity from an added alcohol content.
Yeah, so this is a cast strength wheat whiskey, 114.1 proof.
Yep.
The mash bill, as Ed said, is 100% wheat. The age is about 5 years. It's Journeyman Distillery from Three Oaks, Michigan. We are probably going to do a full episode on Journeyman in the future sometime.
We like their stuff.
They have a ton of expressions.
And we like all of them that we've had so far. We got a text message from Gabe. I think he's hammered somewhere.
At home.
He found out that we're recording just the 2 of us. And he's like, I have nothing to do tonight. You all recording by yourselves. That's fine. I mean, you do what you're going to do. I'm going to go skinny dipping right now and swim under the moonlight.
Why does he sound like a piney? Because of his fan base?
Right, because of his fan base. He's pandering to them. And
he's giving a show to his neighbors.
Right. He's doing the backstroke right now.
Hello. Mm-hmm. Front stroke too, probably.
Yeah. The neighbor's like, Margaret, who's a little kid with her pinky sticking out of the water? 2 weeks from now, he's listening to this. He just drives his truck into a wall. You guys, God damn you! God damn you!
Oh, shit.
But after I got the text off air, I said to Scott, did you ever go skinny dipping? And I did actually one time.
Yeah.
When I was married, me and my ex-wife, we went skinny dipping in my brother's pool. We were house sitting. But the funniest part is we were there for like a week. He came home, and as soon as he dropped the suitcases, he grabbed me by the forearm and dragged me into like the hall and said, Where? Just tell me where. And what he was asking was, where did we do it? And I told him before he left, I go, his room's off limits. Don't worry about it. But the answer was the pool and the washing machine.
Oh, shit. The washing machine. Was the washing machine running?
That's not really an essential part of the story. Yes, is the correct answer. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I've gotten naked several times being drunk in college. I once was with my eventual wife in the ocean was once. But my best story is me and my friend Mike and Pam. You know Mike and Pam?
Sure.
I was best man at their wedding. I was dating off and on a friend of theirs, Lynn. And there was another young woman. Her name was Caroline.
Not Lynn.
Not Jeff's Lynn.
Oh, no, Jesus.
No.
That's going to take me to the left field.
No.
Lynn just fell off her chair somewhere like, what? As if.
So the five of us went up to Pam's mom and stepfather. They had a place in the Poconos, and we went up there some November. A nice fall day. Had a day together. We went, I don't know, candles, antiquing and whatever the fuck we did. You know what couples do.
Bobbing for apples and such.
Right. So then we got back to her parents' house, and they had a hot tub. So the five of us got into the hot tub.
Yeah.
And at some point, Mike and I, unbeknownst to the women, I don't know how we coordinated this. I don't remember. But we took off our
suits, right?
Suits.
Yeah.
But, you know, the bubbling water.
Right, you sat on them. You can just sit on them.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So hours and hours go by, and we're hammered.
Oh, my God.
We're drinking so much beer. So eventually, you drink enough.
You got to go.
You got to go.
Yeah.
But before I had to go, Pam's mom comes out, and she's going to bed. She's like, your father and I are going to bed. And so, do you guys need anything or anything? No. We're like, no, thank you very much, blah, blah, blah. And she's standing there, she's talking to us, and I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. So I grab the towel, and I totally forget that I've taken off my pants. So I wrap the towel around my shoulders because it's cold, and I stand up and walk down the stairs right past Pam's mom's face. And I still don't know because I'm hammered. So I walk into the house, I go to the bathroom, and I come back still with the towel wrapped around my shoulders.
You didn't realize, like, when you went to the bathroom and there's nothing to do but go?
No, I didn't.
Wow, you were hammered.
So I was hammered. So I come back, and Pam's mom is gone.
Just know that if you're Louis C.K., you just lost an empire. You're done. You're canceled.
I know. So they're all laughing. And I walk back in, sit down. I'm like, what are you guys laughing at? You're not wearing any pants. And you gave my mom a full frontal. And I said, well, at least the water was warm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my best story.
But you win the day. That's awesome. How old were you?
In my 20s.
All right. So, God, it was good to be young.
Wasn't it?
Damn. Because, like, really, if, like, we do anything like that now, it's, like, really sad and creepy.
Yeah. Pam's mom still kind of like, oh, hey, what's hey.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, remember that time?
Hey, don't forget, we got a hot tub out back. All right. So, the Journeyman Corset Whips and Whiskey is up. It's 114.1 proof. And the mash bill, Scott, was 100% wheat.
100% organic Michigan grown.
Right.
All right. So I have something really cool to talk about. Fred Minnick talking about wheat whiskeys. This was the whiskey that he was tasting on his YouTube channel. And I transcribed what he said so that I have it here. But first, it won the 2022 Ascot Awards, which are his awards.
Yeah.
Double platinum, it won.
Wow.
Then it won Best Wheat Whiskey. Then it won Best in Show.
What?
Of his entire tasting tournament.
The one we have right here.
The one we have right here.
Wow, that's really impressive.
So here's what he said. Against all odds, in a category that gets no respect, Journeyman Corsets Whips and Whiskey, a wheat whiskey, not a wheated bourbon, won over the palates of the judges in a blind tasting competition to win Best in Show whiskey. It defeated Australian Single Malt, a 19-year Scotch, a complicated rye, a tasty cast strength bourbon, and many others for this honor. We had more than 800 entries, and this is a huge win for craft distilleries everywhere. I've long said craft whiskey is knocking on the door of winning a major spirits competition. I just didn't think it would be a wheat whiskey. But this stuff is special, and hope you get to taste it. Congrats to Journeyman.
All right. Wow.
Great, right?
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's why I'm super excited to taste this.
And of course, we have it in our neat glass.
Swirling.
Scott and I have an affiliation with neat glass, as you know. If you want to get yourself some neat glasses, go to neatglass.com, put in whiskey 10 as a code, and you'll get 10% off your first order from Scott and I. Okay? And so take the lids off. We've been swirling it a bit, and then we smell. So let's do it.
Really nice.
Really sweet.
It's as fruity as the Woodford. It's fruitier than the Kinsey.
It might be the best nose of the night.
Yeah.
Maybe not as complex as the nose of the Woodford, but it's nicer all the way
It's
through.
bolder.
Yeah.
It's stronger.
And it's really sweet.
I'm getting a little caramel.
I do get some vanilla notes. I'm not really feeling the caramel or really fruity, though, to me. It's hard for me to get past all the fruit sugar.
Let's call it vanilla caramels.
All right.
Baking spices, maybe?
It's definitely the spicier in the nose of any of the other ones, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Did Fred give you any tasting notes?
Yeah, I have his tasting notes
All right.
from his YouTube channel. Yeah.
I get like a vanilla shortbread now. I'm clarifying my vanilla.
Okay.
It's like more cakey on the nose.
Okay. Yeah, I can get that.
Like a Lana Doran or whatever. Like
Oh, a Lorna Doone.
Yeah, like a shortbread cookie.
Shortbreads, yeah. Definitely. That's really good. All right. Tasting it?
Oh. Wow.
Oh.
It's definitely a wheat whiskey. Like, I'm starting to identify what makes something a wheat whiskey.
Wow.
It's so unique. Like, I've never had, of course, 100% wheat. So
This one hits me with the spice first and
Yeah.
then trails off nice and sweet
how do they get that spice out of 100% wheat? I'm so interested in how they do that.
because it almost like it hits you like a rye, but the spiciness is of a different character than that. And also, I'm almost getting, just for a fleeting moment, that sort of vinyl-y thing I get on young ryes. And this is about 5 years.
Yeah.
But it's just there, and it goes away completely. And the sweet finish, wow. I mean, when I was watching this video from Fred Minnick, he was blown away by this.
I can't believe how smooth it is for the proofage of it. It's going down like a 95, and it's 114 proof.
Yeah, this is the opposite of the Woodford, where the Woodford was really hot for 90. This is the best thing that I've tasted in a while. There's none of that alcohol straight through that the Woodford had. It's much more flavorful than even the Kinsey was.
We thought the Kinsey was pretty smooth for 113.
Yeah.
But compared to the 114 Journeyman, it's way smoother, the Journeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew, this is really fucking
I don't
good.
feel like this disrespects the Kinsey. It just, the Journeyman's that much better than the Kinsey.
All right, so the notes that we have from Fred Minnick. So on the nose, he has beautiful baking aromas, birthday cake, and caramel icing. We did pretty good there.
Oh, I said vanilla cake.
Yeah, and I think I said caramel. Okay, so on the palate, damn, some bitch, that's good, is what he says. Gorgeous and buttery with notes of molasses, chocolate chip cookie dough, butterscotch, really just butter, butter, butter. I'm not really getting the butteriness. I get a lot of like intense fruit flavors.
I can see butterscotch. I don't get regular butter, but I can taste the butterscotch, which is a side step to the caramel.
This is wonderful.
This is the third expression I've tasted from Journeyman, and I love the other two.
Yeah, they make really good whiskeys there.
So maybe reach out to them to see if we can get somebody on the air with
Yeah,
us.
I'd love to interview the distiller or somebody.
Yeah.
The finish, he says, one of the most original finishes of any whiskey I've had this year. Absolutely exceptional.
All right, let me try the finish real quick. I really didn't focus on that. I was focusing on the palate so much.
The finish to me is just nice, sweet, and it really just fades slowly. It lingers for a really long time, and it's just perfect. Like there's no harsh notes at all. There's no oakiness. There's no drying.
I get like some leather though.
Like an earthy tone.
Yeah, earthy. I don't think it's bad, but I definitely get some earthiness to it.
No, there is some. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's like as it's fading out, it's like, oh, there it is.
It's like sweet tobacco.
Oh my God.
Whew. This is fucking amazing.
It's
amazing.
Wow. Billy Wow, by the way. All right, so.
All right. Yeah, let's move on to the last one.
I think we need to pause this. I need to clear my palate. Burning in my nose. I drank so much so fast. I just need to reset before I go to 77.
Okay.
That was a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah, we went off on a huge tangent.
Yeah, we're going
also.
to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and tackle the last whiskey.
Yeah, we'll do a real quick transition. 10 seconds. Okay, so we're back. It was about a half an hour for us, but it was only 10 seconds for you. We're going to do next the last whiskey of the podcast evening, the 77 malted wheat whiskey from the Breuckelen distillery, and Ed has a description for us.
We here at Breuckelen Distilling respect tradition, but when it comes to creating craft spirits, we follow our own path. Our goal at Breuckelen Distilling is to create delicious spirits that are honestly crafted. Since 2010, we've been milling grain, distilling, aging, and bottling our own spirits in Breuckelen. Over time, we've developed recipes based on what we've learned tastes best. This practice has built what we believe are some unique, easy drinking, and delicious spirits. Whether you're a whiskey aficionado or a classic casual cocktail consumer, Breuckelen Distilling has something special for you. To us, craft doesn't compromise. That's all great, but none of that has anything to do with the 77 malted wheat whiskey.
It didn't. I couldn't find fuck all on this whiskey.
Wow.
So again, they, like the Kinsey, they have a wheated whiskey that they also put out called the New York Wheat Whiskey, but it is different from this because this says malted. A malted single barrel straight wheat whiskey. Its proof is 137.
Right.
Its age is 8 years. Its mash bill is not disclosed. However, because it's malted, I'm figuring it's going to be close to the Kinsey being a 95.5 wheat to malt barley.
The wheat itself is malted. So,
oh shit, you're right.
Right. So it's not malted barley and wheat. It's actually malted wheat, which is what makes this so unique.
Oh fuck, you're right.
So it could be, I think it's 100% malted wheat. That's my gut.
Oh damn.
The same way you would have malted barley 100% like for Scotch.
Wow. Okay, cool. So this one we also do not have tasting notes for.
Yeah.
Could not find those.
Yeah.
Did reach out to the distillery, and again, so we'll tell you what we like about this whiskey.
It's about $95 a bottle, which isn't crazy for an 8-year malted wheat.
At 137 proof.
It's actually the cheapest malted wheat that I've ever bought, Scott.
Because it's the only one.
It's the best, the worst, and the most expensive. All right,
and least expensive, frankly.
That's right. It's the best bargain. I'm taking a sip of water before I start this.
Yeah. I did too. So swirling in the e-glass and pulling off the lid. What do we smell? Oh.
It's not as heavy as I expected.
No, but I got a nice whiff of grain. It's not as fruity.
It's not sweet like the other ones. It's more herbaceous.
You're getting herbaceousness.
I'm not getting the same sweetness I got off of the Journeyman for sure. I mean, I smell some sugary elements, but I was overwhelmed by the sweetness of the Kinsey and the Journeyman.
It's not as sweet as the others. Right. That's true. Oh, almost a leathery tobacco quality.
Yeah, that's what I was smelling.
Okay. I mean, it's a perfectly nice nose. It's not as good as the Journeyman nose. Not at all.
Cakiness, definitely some graininess.
Oh, there's some breadiness to it. Ooh, I mean, it's so, like, even in the neat glass, it's burning my nose with the alcohol.
137 proof. The one memory I have of tasting this is that it was incredibly smooth for 137, which sounds dumb to say out loud.
Right, because you tasted this before at the store. What is that smell? It's so familiar.
I mean, it's hard for me to nail it down.
It's hard. It's really intense, though.
Maybe it's on the palate. Let's taste it. Let's taste it.
Oh, my God. So much leather.
It's so herbaceous.
Sweet leather tobacco. Jesus. It's
one of the most interesting things that I've ever had.
This tastes like a Texas bourbon.
Really? Like that small batch we tasted, the Grayson. Yeah.
But this is even more intense than that.
This is unlike anything I've ever tasted in the whiskey world. Is that fair to say?
Wow, this is knocking me back.
It's unfathomably smooth, right? Yeah. I will drop some water in it now because...
I will, absolutely. But what I'm getting is leather and tobacco, char, grain, a little bit of that vinyl.
Yeah. Yes.
A tiny bit of sweetness that I can't really identify because it's being overwhelmed by everything else. Maybe the water will bring out some of the sweetness.
That's what I'm hoping, yeah. I'm putting like 10 drops of water in because, my God, it's 137 proof.
Wow. I mean, this is really great. It's not something that we're used to tasting.
No, and it definitely has the Eastern Pennsylvania, New York vinyl.
That vinyl-y
quality. It's not always bad. I want to be clear on that.
It's not.
It can be bad, right? That hat comes across as sour sometimes, but Hill Rock has some elements of it which are spectacular.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Yeah, if the vinyl is the dominant flavor, that's not good. So what are you getting on the smell after dropping in the water? Is it sweet? sweeter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I got some cinnamon.
Oh.
I got a little cinnamon and a little bit of vanilla now.
Yeah, I can see it. It's a little bit more like the Journeyman now.
Yeah.
Where the Lorna Doone that you said, I'm getting a little bit of that too.
Yeah, some cookiness to it for sure. But let's taste it with the water.
It's so tingly on the tongue.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All those flavors that I mentioned before are just a tiny bit tamed down now with an extra bit of, I don't know, maybe caramel sweetness?
I need to put this on the rocks. At 137 proof on a globe, this thing would flourish. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to do it too.
Scott normally doesn't drink stuff on the ice, but we don't normally drink stuff that's 137 proof either. So poured about 2 ounces each. So I'm a big fan of putting high proof expressions on a globe. And I think that the distiller puts it out there to give you something to work with.
Yeah, this is in the range of a hazmat whiskey, as they call them.
Is this the highest proof whiskey we drank on air?
It's possible.
We had something at 130 something. Oh no, it was a barrel pick cast strength.
Shit! And Gabe brought it over.
Gabe brought it over, and it was like 130. But I don't think it was 137. I think it was below this. So this might be the highest proof whiskey that we've had on the podcast.
Yeah.
Which it's whatever, but it's something we have to take note of because it's pretty special.
Yeah.
So it's been on the ice for about a minute, and I think it's a good time to taste it. So that caused me to drink too much.
I drank too much too.
That was a mistake. I didn't taste anything but horror. I just drank it I gulped this. It was still 125, and I'm just sucking it down like it's Kool-Aid.
Yeah. All right.
Let's act like we know what we're doing and sip this.
Approach this again like we haven't had 9 whiskeys already tonight.
Holy cow! Wow, it's delicious right now.
Getting a little anise now. A little bit of licorice flavor.
Yeah.
It's so complex. It's hard to differentiate all the flavors. It's like a machine gun of flavoring.
There's so much tobacco and leather on the end of this. So the malted process does something to it because the Journeyman, I feel like that did everything you could do with a wheat mash bill. But the malted wheat over here from the 77, holy crap. If you can go get a bottle of 77 and you're wondering like, Ed, what would you spend $100 on? This.
Yeah, $94 is not a bad price to pay for this. And I'm very price sensitive.
We are.
And this, like you said, this is one of the most unique whiskeys I think I've ever had.
Yeah.
And this is more intense than the Journeyman. I don't think it's as good a just regular sip as the Journeyman. And
I can't drink this every day.
No, that's what I mean. This is not an everyday drinker, whereas the Journeyman is more.
Even though it's 114, it's a break.
Yeah. If you're a whiskey drinker, this is kind of what you're searching for. Something extraordinary, something that blows your mind.
Yeah.
It's got so much flavor, so much complexity.
Yeah.
This is what you're looking for, people.
Fred Minnick, I know Fred listens to us. Fred, listen. I know you like the Journeyman. We did too. Get yourself a bottle of 77 from the Breuckelen distillery.
And put a globe on it.
And let that mellow a bit because it's spectacular.
I can't really decide between the Journeyman and the 77 because they're both amazing whiskeys. 2 of the most amazing whiskeys that I've ever drank have been tonight on this podcast. And it's been the Journeyman and the 77.
Wow,
and they're both
that's a bold statement.
Bold statement. And they're both wheat whiskeys, and I can't pick between them. I like them both equally in different ways.
Yeah.
Because it's like picking your favorite child.
Yeah, right.
And I don't even have children.
I just poured another splash of the Journeyman to come back to it. And the thing is, it's about a 75% burst compared to the 77. It hits you like great, then it's gone. While the 77 just stays there and just performs and flavors. And if you go back and forth, you'll see what I'm talking about. I actually have a little tiny cube in the Journeyman. And I have 2 tiny cubes in the 77.
Sorry.
All right. So
we drank a lot tonight, folks.
We did. We're good. We're honestly good. And
we are good.
80% of it rests in the front of the sip, if that makes sense. And then there's just like a nice, slow, steady finish that's just relaxing. So when I do 77,
it's an assault.
Oh my God.
It assaults your senses.
It's the extra 23 points in proof is substantial.
Yeah. Who is this fucking Breuckelen distillery? Like, what the fuck are they making? Like, this is just extraordinary for this like really small craft distillery in Breuckelen, New York. It's this guy, young dude. He's probably like 35, and he's got a master distiller with him who's like a big grizzled beard and everything.
They all have beards. If you don't have a beard in your master distiller, like I feel like you get shade.
They have a lot of expressions. So we follow these guys on Instagram. We're going to at them.
Yeah, I will tell you this right now. From a business strategy standpoint, it would be better for us to like the Woodford, because then maybe Woodford would share it with their thousands, tens of thousands of listeners.
And we really just didn't.
We didn't.
Again,
that's our palate.
it's not terrible.
No.
But it's just like water compared to the rest of these.
Well, we'll say this. The Woodford's very thin, but the flavor profile might be different for each person who drinks it. So if you really want an entry into the wheat whiskey, for $40, you can't go wrong by trying the Woodford. But for another $10, if you can get the Journeyman, I think you got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Because the Journeyman, they have a pretty good following now, including us.
Yep.
They're probably on the shelf at your local liquor store.
Yep.
And that's the one you should be seeking out. But if you live in the Northeast, you might be able to find the 77 malted whiskey.
Yeah. So as I finish my 77 here, Scott, anything else?
I think this has been one of the most eye-opening episodes that we've ever done. It's sort of a hearkening back to our first or second season where we didn't really know a lot about the whiskeys that we were tasting.
Yeah.
We had very limited experience.
What's a rye?
Yeah, what's a rye whiskey? What's that?
Oh my God, what's the difference?
And I mean, this has really been extraordinary. I am just floored by the 3 craft distilled wheat whiskeys that we've tasted tonight. The Woodford Reserve, it's fine. But the Kinsey is terrific. The Journeyman is elite. And I don't know, the 77, it might just edge it out.
It's just different. I mean, it's just way more complex and way more hot. You okay over there? Sounds like knocking down all the glassware over there. Now playing the role of Ed.
I'm moving shit around and it's like...
like Rick and Morty's spaceship. But...
All right.
All right. We've done all we can do, and then some, and probably more than we needed to do, and more than we should have done.
Right. So just as a final thing, if you didn't know what wheat whiskeys were, go out and seek one of the ones that we found, or find one from a local distillery, because there's lots. I have a list. Do you want to go through the list? All right. So there was a Parker's Heritage 2014
from
edition.
Heaven Hill?
From Heaven Hill.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was a wheat whiskey.
Okay.
13-year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was 126.8 proof.
And $1 million.
And $1 million. $800 to $1,800.
Right.
I saw
so
online.
That's a no for us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So next, the AD Laws Centennial Bonded Straight Wheat Whiskey.
Bondage?
Bonded.
Oh, I thought bondage.
Yeah, not bondage. That's what you do. It's 100% wheat, 5 years, 100 proof, $80.
Wow. I would be interested in that.
Yeah. I know you like bonded. It's a bottle and bond.
I am. I do. You know, I like bonded and bondage.
Hello. The Bainbridge Battle Point Organic Wheat Whiskey.
Yeah.
100% wheat. It's only 2 years aged, and it's only 86 proof.
And how much is it?
$70.
No. That's a no.
Okay.
Fuck them.
That's wow.
I don't even have to know anything about it. 86 proof, you're 2 years old, and you're no, and no.
Okay,
That's
so
a fact. They should sell no bottles. None. Oh my God, we have 10,000 bottles left. I know, because you guys are dicks.
Wow. I completely agree. Cedar Ridge.
Oh, okay.
Wheat whiskey. Another 100% wheat. Another 2 year, 80 proof.
Yeah.
But only $20. That I would buy.
I'd absolutely try that, because at $20, I'm like, it either sucks or it's old overhaul.
Something called Dry Fly Wheat Whiskey. Another 100% wheat.
I don't like the name, though.
3 years, 120 proof.
Wow.
$50.
All right. I'm in.
I'm in. Ed is in.
I'm in.
All right, so we have the Journeyman Buggy Whip wheat whiskey. That is also 100% wheat. It's 90 proof, and that's $49.
That's okay. Okay.
Yeah. The Koval, one of your favorites. They have 3, actually, but they're limited releases, and I don't know if you can get them anymore. They have Koval toasted wheat, white wheat, and charred wheat. I don't have any information about them, but I just wanted to mention it because you like Koval. Old Elk wheat whiskey.
I feel like Old Elk is like a Bigfoot to me. Like every time I hear people, like I see it on the shelf, like Old Elk, it's $87. I'm like, what the fuck is Old Elk? Like,
we need to do a short on them.
Maybe.
Yeah. Old Elk wheat whiskey is 95% wheat, 5% malted barley, possibly the same MGP mash bill. 5 years, 100 proof.
Yeah.
$75.
Yeah, it's right on the edge. Depending on the day, it could get me. First of all, if Billy said you should buy that Old Elk, I'd be like, all right, okay, I'll buy it.
Right. Yeah, so those are some of the small craft distillery wheats. Like we said, there's only 2 major wheat whiskeys.
Right.
These small craft distillery whiskeys that we've tasted tonight are elite.
Yeah.
If these can't push major distillers into making their own wheat whiskeys, because look, there's a ton of wheated bourbon makers out there.
Right.
Couldn't they tweak their mash bills in the favor of wheat?
Like, how does Maker's Mark and Larceny not have a version that's just wheat?
Right.
I'm with you. But what are you going to do? So that's it. Scott, anything?
Nope.
All right. So for the Whiskey Tangent podcast, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed learning about wheat whiskey as much as we did. So please go out, have fun, drink responsibly, and enjoy the rest of your summer. I'm Ed.
I'm Scott.
Cheers, everybody.
Later.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode, be sure to check out our next episode, which is way better than this one.
Oh, yeah.
Also, follow and like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Whiskey Tangent. And follow us on Twitter at Whiskey Tangent. You can follow me personally at That Whiskey Guy. And follow Scott at Giant Cup of Awesome, spelled AWSUM, just to be annoying.
Hey.
You can email us any questions, comments, or love at whiskeytangent@gmail.com. And of course, you can find us always at our podcast website, whiskeytangent.podbean.com.